Hey, folks, this is Rabble Rousing Rich Bergeron.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's the Tornado Tony Penick.
And Psychic Tom Paget with this crystal ball ready to go.
Wow. We got quite the show here. I did not win any money last week, but I came close. I won a little bit on the Super Bowl, which was pretty entertaining. I got to tell you, that was a game. Although
That was a pretty good game. Now, here's the crazy thing.
Yep, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. No, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, I did notice that there was not a single false start called in the entire game, although I saw like at least 5 of them. I want to see what NFL game.
No shit. I didn't really pick up on that.
Yeah, I want to see what other NFL game during the season had not a single false start. I don't think there was any.
They're complaining about the referees now because there was the one defensive holding call late in the game, which kind of extended the Rams' winning drive.
Yeah.
But I could see where there was a potential hold in there because you did see the jersey move. Oh. Now, here's one for Tom. Tom, I want you to put this in your psychic-o-meter. You know these block pools they have around, right? Okay, everybody does block pools. I was in 7 of them because that's who I am. So I was in 7 block pools. My parents were in there. My parents were in like 2 or 3, On 3 of the block pools. Now, I figure, like, in my block pool, I bought 4 blocks, 4 out of 100. My parents each bought 4 out of 100. Other block pools, I only bought 1 because they were like $20 or $25 a block. In 3 of the block pools, my mom had 3-0 and 1. My dad had 3-0 and 1. I had 3-0 and 1. So at the half, my dad won 100 on the one pool. My mom and I each won 300. Rams scored that winning touchdown, kicked the extra point, and ends 23-20. We each again. My dad won 2 more hundred. I won 4 more hundred. My mom won 4 more hundred. The Penicow family, out of 7 block pools, cleaned up for $1,700.
Wow.
Yeah. What are the odds that 3 people...
I'm in the wrong game, I guess.
Well, 3 different block pools are going to have the 3-0 combo.
Yeah, that would be... wow.
I'm not a math major, but what I did was, you figure, to get the 3-0 combo in 1 block pool is 1 out of 100. To get it in 2 block pools, you times it by 100, right? So it's 1 out of 10,000. To times that by another 100, that's 1 out of 1,000,000.
Yeah, that's those aren't casino odds. Those are lottery odds.
Yeah.
Well, you better play the Powerball next.
Yeah, I know.
Anyway, we had a big UFC fight. I picked a lot of winners, but I had a guy that ended up getting knocked out pretty early. I picked Casey O'Neill over Roxanne Modafferi, even though I really like Roxanne, and the crowd really liked her to the point where they were booing the winner, Casey O'Neill. She couldn't even get her damn interview in after the fight because Roxanne was retiring, and is obviously a very nice lady and very well respected in the community, and was happy to be there. She held her own. It ended up being a split decision too, so she had one of the judges sympathy vote anyway. But it was a rough night. She got tagged up a little bit. So those were my 2 big mistakes. Well, also I had Andrei Arlovsky, who also won a split decision, and you got to get all knockouts. So that was my couple big mistakes there. But I only put in 1 lineup, and the one. Sort of miracle pick I had was Tai Tuivasa. I know I said on the show that I was expecting Derek Lewis to win last week, but I just had a feeling. I looked at Ty's record, and it's like almost every single fight he won ended in a knockout. So I said, I got a feeling he's going to win. And he was only like $12, which is on the low end of the lineups prices. But the big one you had to have was one that I changed my pick. Someone else, I picked a lineup, and then I changed a couple people, and another guy who was only $12, Douglas Silva DeAndre, was a big underdog, and he got the rear naked choke over Sergey Morozov, so you had to have him. And Renato Moicano as well. Moicano. Getting confused because there's two different ones. I guess they're calling him Carnero here. Where is he? Where's he on the main card? Carnero, I guess. Yeah, they call him that on the... But his last name is Moicano, I believe. Anyway, he was like pretty stoked. He got a rear naked choke over Alexander Hernandez there, so you had to have him on the card too to get your big winnings. But anyway, the main event, Israel Adesanya and Robert Whittaker, was very controversial. I didn't think so. I mean, I don't know what kind of fight these people were watching that they thought Robert Whittaker won 3 rounds, but I felt like he was just not being too selective with his punches, and really, you got to kind of do damage to the champ to beat, take that belt away.
You got to take it.
Yeah.
You got to take it. And but we called it right. Remember what we said?
Yeah.
It's going to be a longer fight than the first one, and still.
Yeah.
So we nailed that one.
I thought Israel was going to get the knockout, so I did have him in the lineup, but no knockout. He was actually getting hit a lot on the nose. Robert actually had one of the better jabs in the fight, for sure. And he was just landing it at will and just kind of tagging him in the nose a lot. But it was just like one punch here and there, and it just wasn't enough. He wasn't stringing any combinations together. He didn't really have the confidence he needed to, stand toe-to-toe with Israel in those exchanges and, land more than he got hit with. So I don't know. He probably won maybe 2 rounds, but I didn't see him winning 3 rounds. And even then, it was very close, the rounds that he did win. And then, the big controversy was, why wasn't Joe Rogan there? Because apparently they said before the fight it was going to be a scheduling conflict, but then Dana White came out after the fight and said, nope, he could have worked tonight. He just didn't want to. And I don't know why. I can't tell you why.
Well, what I heard, he was doing some attack comedy, fighting back. So that's what I heard.
Yeah.
He was he's through apologizing. Trying to apologize to a lynch mob. That's like trying to tell General Sherman, we'll give you the farm, just don't burn everything. No, not the way it works. And so Joe is fighting back and still has his position.
Yeah, he's definitely, they're not going to let him go after the outcry of all the people complaining about Michael Bisping. And the other commentators just didn't like him for some reason. But yeah, they were looking for Joe, and he just kind of texted into the one of the commentators there, John Anik. Who, I don't think anybody complained about him, but they had a lot to say about the other 2. But he texted into Anik and said that he thought Israel might have hurt his hand because of the way he was pushing on it with the glove, but Israel denied that after the fight, so that wasn't a factor. But he definitely looked like a little bit out of sorts. Like he didn't seem like as dynamic as he has been in the past, and kind of like he was a little bit confused by the adjustments that Whittaker made, but not to the point where I thought he was losing a lot of rounds. And I definitely thought, he took it, landed the better shots and seemed like he had the better composure. Really, the only time I seen him frustrated was when he kept getting popped in the nose. If he injured anything, it was that schnoz, but not the hand. Anyway, Tai Tuivasa, of course, got the win over Derek Lewis. That was sort of a miracle with the elbow knockout in the second round, but a lot of people said Derek took a dive. I don't know. I didn't see that, but he definitely was not used to taking elbows to the temple, and it was I think part of it was the fact that he's fighting in front of his hometown crowd, and he's just had bad luck in his own home state there. So yeah, it was pretty bad for him, but that's kind of the type of fighter he is. It's like depends on what night. Sometimes he's dynamic and explosive. Other times he's just kind of like, all right, I'm just collecting my paycheck tonight. And that's the kind of fight it was. And this is the one that killed me, the Derek Brunson versus Jared Cannonier fight, because at the end of the first round, I had picked Brunson. That was my biggest mistake, absolute biggest mistake, because he lost. Everybody else that I didn't pick right just got a decision with. He lost, and at the end of the first round, he was about to choke Cannonier out. It was going great for him, and then bam, Cannonier came out with a fury in the second round and knocked him out with some vicious elbows. And then, as I talked about, Renato Carneiro beating Alexander Hernandez by rear naked choke. And that one was interesting on the fighter pay scenario because his accent was funny because, Tom, you'll like this, because he was trying to say Texas and it sounded like he was saying taxes. He loves taxes. So you got to sign him up. He loves taxes. But he also said he had to pay taxes, so he needed a big check, which was interesting. Here's a guy on the main card begging for a check, for performance of the night or whatever they're going to give him. And I don't think he got the big check. I think that went to somebody else, but it was a great win. It was a kind of a rough first round for him, but second round he came in, got the rear naked choke, and that was it. And then Bobby Green before that, dazzled against Nasrat Haqparast, got the unanimous decision. It wasn't really anywhere close to a knockout at any point, but he definitely kind of tossed him around the cage a lot and just picked his shots and was very safe and is actually in such good condition. He's going to be fighting on the next UFC event at the end of February here against Chimaev, who is just a world beater at this point. He's just mowing people down, so that's going to be an interesting one. I don't know if his style is going to adapt well to the knockout artist type of guy that Chimaev is. But we'll find out. He definitely looked good the other night. And then Andrei Arlovsky, I said I picked him. He ended up winning by split decision over Jared Vanderhaar. Even though Vanderhaar picked it up at the end. And he seemed like, it was definitely by the punch numbers. He was landing more significant shots. But, Andrei's got such a big name. He's been around for so long. It's almost like a champion situation where you got to take it away from him, even though he doesn't have any belts. So that's how it went there. And then Casey O'Neill beating Roxanne Modafferi. I hated betting against her, but, that's the way it went. And you had to have her on the card because she landed, I think, like a record number of significant strikes for that division, flyweight. So that was like the one decision you had to have on the card. Kyler Phillips beating Marcelo Rojo. That was an armbar submission. He was like the most expensive fighter, so that was a tough one to fit in your lineup unless you had some real cheap guys. Picked both cheap guys, still got one. Then we had a group of unanimous decisions. Carlos Ulberg over Fabio Charant. That was pretty much a no-brainer. Fabio just didn't seem motivated to, really gut it out there. It just seemed like he was going through the motions. And then Ronnie Lawrence before that beating Leo Mana Martinez. Jacob Malcuna over AJ Dobson. Both unanimous decisions. And then the guy that I switched, unfortunately, Douglas Silva DeAndre beat Sergey Morozov by rear naked choke in the second round. Jeremiah Wells, another guy I had in the lineup and changed. Beat Mike Mathena, also by rear naked choke. That was earlier, 4 minutes and 38 seconds into the first. And Maxime Grishin beat William Knight by unanimous decision. And then we got a lot of MMA events this week. We've got a UFC fight, we got a Bellator fight, and we got a Professional Fighters League. But just so we don't drown out Tony, we'll switch to boxing for a minute. John Ryder.
Got my tickets today for next fight.
How about that guy, huh? John Ryder beating.
You know what? I did get to see that. Unfortunately, I did not get to see the first 6 rounds of it, which they thought that's when Jacobs was winning. Last week, we had Dr. Cox's funeral last week, and I did not attend in person. There was a reason for it, but I live streamed it, which was better for me because maybe driving up there by myself in the mental state that I was in maybe wasn't the best thing. So I decided to stay home, live stream it. I was having panic attacks in the morning because I get very, anxious and get a lot of anxiety and panic attacks around funerals. And driving, 3 hours by myself, wasn't the best idea. So I live streamed the funeral, and then I turned around to watch the Jacobs fight. And when I went down, I was talking to my dad. My dad's like, the fight's not very entertaining. And it was a lot of clinching, a lot of holding. But there was, like, Jacobs was winning these rounds, but he's not winning them convincingly. I'm like, well, if you're fighting over in Great Britain and you're not winning these rounds convincingly, that's not a good thing. And, like I said, then it goes to the distance. Now, the last few rounds, I thought Ryder was doing very well. He landed a few shots. I thought he might even stun Jacobs a little bit. And did you think Jacobs won more rounds? Yeah, possibly. But the problem was, you don't think he won the fight. He may have won more rounds, but he definitely did not win the fight. And you can't let it be in the other guy's hometown like that and let him get the, advantage on you. So, yeah, Ryder got the win, and, maybe Jacobs just didn't do enough.
Yeah, it was a split decision too, so actually one of the judges did score it in favor of Jacobs, but the other two went the other way. So that's a stumbling block there for Jacobs. I'm sure he'll come back a little bit stronger, and probably will try not to leave it to the judges next time. But Ryder kind of probably surprised a lot of people. He didn't really have a crazy good record either going in, so just goes to show you any given
like I said, I saw
Saturday.
him fight out in Vegas a couple years ago, and you can tell there's talent there. He's a good fighter.
Right. And start off this weekend, we have a couple heavyweight fights from Germany, Hamburg, Germany, worth mentioning. We got Zan Kosobutsky, who is 17-0, fighting Johan Duhaupas, who is 39-6 for the vacant WBC International Heavyweight title. And then Jose Larduet, who is 7-0, fighting Dusan Velitic, who is 5-0-1. So that could be somebody's always got to go fight, and it's for a title, the WBC International Silver Heavyweight title. That's great when you got less than 10 fights here. You got to get the fight for a title. Must be nice. Anyway, here's a funny name on this card too at welterweight. Freddie Quit, 20-3, but it's not spelled like Q-U-I-T. It's K-I-W-I-T-T. He's fighting Merab Turkadze. It's a little bit of a mismatch. Turkadze 6-13-1. Freddie is 20-3. And then we have a couple mismatches down in Ghana. Super featherweight main event here. Even though the guy's got a winning record, he's fighting. It's a lot of experience against very little. We got Alexis Burima Kabore, who is 28-5 at super featherweight, fighting Michael Tagoe, Tagoe, who is 3-1, and I think he's going to take his lunch to go. It's dinner for this fight. But he's probably not going to win. Then we've got super bantamweight fight Isaac Saki, 25-2-1, fighting William Atto, who has no fights. It's his pro debut. 25-2 versus pro debut. You don't hear about that much. Anyway, we got super welterweights Felice Moncelli, 21-6. Oh, this is our mismatch of the week for sure. Over in Italy, Tony. An Italian mismatch of the week. Felice Moncelli, and he's 21-6-1, fighting Luigi Montagna, who is 2-94-2. How about that? Crazy, huh?
Wow.
And then here's one in Mexico. This is a better somebody's always got to go fight. We got Jamie Munguia at middleweight, 38-0, fighting Demetrius Ballard, who is 21-0-1 for the World Boxing Organization Intercontinental Middleweight title. Crazy. Super lightweights Diego Torres Nunez, 13-0, and Jonathan Escobedo Martinez, 8-2-1 in the co-main event. All right. Not much else. Oh, here's another somebody's always got to go fight on this card. No title on the line, but lightweights William Zepeda, 24-0, fighting Uriel Cesar, who is 19-0. So one guy's looking for 25 wins, the other guy's looking for 20. And our Jesus fight of the week is on this card. It's even highlighted with a big red flag next to it, whatever the hell that means. Super welterweights Jorge Garcia, 22-3, fighting Jesus Nunez Rodriguez, who is 19-8-2. And this one's actually from Mexico. I don't know. It should be on TV. I mean, there's a lot of good fights there, but it doesn't give a TV network on there. Kind of a slow month. I looked at the main page for BoxRec.
It really has been.
Really
has been.
And of course, there's going to be some fighting in Russia. Maybe some fighting in Ukraine for real. You keep saying it's imminent. It's imminent, but I don't know. I woke up to some reports of a big hole in the wall of some apartment complex that they're supposedly doing, like the Russian army is supposedly trying to do what they call a false flag, and make it look like Ukraine is trying to fight back, and then they're going to use that as an excuse to come in and blow everybody away. But yeah, it's a terrible situation over there. They got the place surrounded. Yeah, it's going to be bad whenever they do, but it doesn't seem like they're backing down at this point. But anyway, ESPN Plus will be over there in Russia for this one. Hopefully no hostages get taken. Well, this is in Ekaterinburg, probably way away from the Ukrainian border. Anyway, lightweights in the main event for the WBC silver lightweight title. Zaur Abdullayev, who is 14-1, fighting Jorge Linares, who is 47-6. Has lost 3 of his last 6, though. And then we got both a Jesus fight of the week and an Angel fight of the week this week. Angel Rodriguez, who is 19-1. Oh, lost it. Hold on. There it is. Angel Rodriguez, 19-1, fighting Mark Irvanov, who is 20 wins, 2 losses, 1 draw. And this will be a good one. And we got the WBC Asian Boxing Council super lightweight title between Ivan Kozlovsky, great Asian name there, 4-0, and Zoravor Petrosian, another great Asian name, 12-1. That's best stuff on that card. Let's see what we got. And of course, the big one, also on ESPN Plus on Saturday, Amir Khan and Kell Brook. I didn't even know Amir Khan was still fighting. I've seen more of Amir Khan, the other Amir Khan in MMA.
Neither did I.
In the headlines lately. He is 34-5. Kell is 39-3, and this is it's kind of is like an old guy fight for those guys. They got a lot of experience and a lot of time in the game, and both of them are from the UK, so this is definitely probably going to be a packed house for this at the Manchester Arena. Should be a big time banger.
If you go with if you go in this fight and you look at it from a strength standpoint, honestly, I think you have to go with Kell Brook. He's got a better chin, significantly better chin. Amir Khan, that's always been his weakness ever since his first loss. Speed-wise, they're about the same. Khan maybe a little quicker, but not by much. They both have comparable power. I wouldn't call either of them a one-punch knockout artist, but, both of them can do damage, with their punches. So you got to say, okay, they've both had, some losses, some devastating losses, but the strength of the chin comes down to a significant advantage for Kell Brook. I mean, you figure this guy was in there with Gennady Golovkin, and he took some of his best shots. But I think what, could be the tipping point in Khan's favor is a lot of Khan's knockouts were relatively quick. The Bradis Prescott knockout, 40 seconds. The fight with Canelo Alvarez, he got knocked out cold, but it was one punch. So you look at some of those knockout losses, not like he took a lot of punishment in there. It was pretty much like a lightning bolt, and it was over. In Kell Brook's two losses to Gennady Golovkin and Errol Spence, he took significant punishment. He took a tremendous beating over 6 rounds against Golovkin. He had his orbital socket broken, I think, in both of those fights. And you can say, well, he was fighting out of his weight class against Golovkin. It doesn't matter. The punishment still wears on the odometer. That's not like you take your car and you have a car that's maybe not a sports car. Maybe you have or let's say you have a sports car. And, your sports car goes really fast and you can, drive and it's sleek and it looks good. But then you drive it in, bad weather. And you drive it in some very, you drive it on a beach somewhere. You drive it in, not optimal conditions. You could say, well, yeah, but my car, the performance wasn't great because it wasn't in its natural, habitat for prime performance. Doesn't matter. You still did damage to your engine. You still did damage to, your shocks and everything, and you put wear and tear on that vehicle, whether it was in its prime location or not. That's the same thing with Kell Brook in that Golovkin fight. So I'm going to favor Brook in this fight just because of his the advantage of his chin, but I would call it a slight favorite. I wouldn't call it a resounding favorite.
All right. Breaking it down. Well, Kell has actually lost more in his last 6 fights. He's lost 3. Amir has sandwiched a couple losses with wins. And so he's only had 2 losses in his last 6. But he does have 5. And a little less experience than Kell. But, yeah, should be a good fight, I think. I probably won't be watching it because I don't have ESPN Plus, but I'll try to see some highlights anyway. The co-main event is a super welterweight bout between Natasha Jonas 10-2-1, fighting Chris Namus, who is 25-6 for the vacant WBO World Female Super Welterweight title. And then Charlie Schofield, 17-1, fighting Jermaine Brown, 11-0 for the BBBFC English Super Middleweight title. And another somebody's that has got to go. Middleweight, Bradley Rea, who is 11-0, fighting Craig McCarthy, who's 8-0-1. That's the best stuff on that card. And I'm pretty sure there's not much else going on. Oh, here we go. Our boy that we got an interview with this week. I'm going to just basically attach it to the end of the show here. But I did a quick, like 20-minute interview with Marqus Bates. We were joking that his first name is only one letter short of the guy they made the boxing rules after, the Marquis of Queensberry. He spells it Marcus, Marqus. 8-4 is his record. He's fighting a guy named Christian Danilo Guido. He's fighting a Guido, Tony. 8-21 is his record.
Nice, with my people.
So I think Marcus is going to handle him well. I was joking that he's probably going to give him his 10th loss in a row because he has lost a bunch of fights back to back. But this is actually at Memorial Hall in Melrose, Massachusetts, and if I wasn't driving around a dump truck for a daily driver, I'd probably try to get to this one because it's being promoted by my old buddy up there at Norwich. He used to be on my boxing team. More of a coach than a fighter. I don't think he ever did any of the on-campus fights that we did, but he always showed up and, helped out with practice here and there. I was telling Marcus that he actually probably had more street fights in college than he had boxing matches. Because he used to go up to Burlington, Vermont, which is like an hour away from us, and there's a lot of good bars there. So him and another friend of mine who was Italian, Richie Giannetti, would go up there to Burlington and like pick fights and just beat people up basically. Too bad they didn't get it on camera because they'd probably be YouTube stars at this point. But anyway, hopefully they didn't hurt anybody bad. Actually, one time, Michael Reyes there, my buddy, came back with a scratched cornea, and he couldn't spar for a while. But I used to spar with him every now and then. Obviously, I outweighed him a little bit. He was like $150 at the time, and I was like around 180 to 200. Between the two, probably like 180 to 190. But anyway, yeah, we sparred a little bit. He had very fast hands, and used that to his advantage. A lot of good footwork. But now he's a promoter, and he's having this bout at Memorial Hall. And the funny thing is, I didn't even know this before the interview, but Marcus, his last fight was the New Hampshire state title fight. So that got me thinking, how does a Massachusetts guy come up to New Hampshire and take our title? Like, we need to develop more New Hampshire guys. The New Hampshire guys should be fighting for that title, right? But anyway, he got a good laugh out of that. The three top fights on this card are pretty interesting. Yamaguchi Falco in the main event at super middleweight. He is 19-1-1. Fighting Fernando Ezequiel Farias, who is 10-1-2, and is for the WBC Latino super middleweight title. And then the co-main event, Joseph Fernandez at super lightweight, 14-3-3, fighting Gonzalo Carlos de Lara, who is 9-15. And then middleweights, Connor Coyle, 14-0, fighting Rodrigo Lopes Rodriguez, who is 8-1. For the American Federation Continental America's middleweight title. American Boxing Federation Continental America's middleweight title. Boy, he is like every letter of the alphabet to put that on the belt. That's a big one. It's a long one. Anyway, that's about it. Good stuff on that card, but unfortunately I can't make it down there. But I'm going to definitely try to get to the next one. And then down in Maryland on Saturday, we have one worth mentioning in the main event. Both co-main event and main event are pretty good. Demon Nicholson at super middleweight, 24-4-1, fighting Gabriel Pham, Pham, who is 15-2. And then Jordan White in the co-main event, 12-1, fighting Brandon Valdez, who is 14-2. And it's for the vacant World Boxing Council United States super featherweight title. And that's about it for the real good stuff. Yeah, funny name here. Hold on. We got a fight in Rhode Island here. It's a kind of a mismatch. Lightweight main event. Jamie Clampett, 22-5-2, fighting Kim Wabick, who is 4-1-2. See what else? That's it. That's it for the big stuff. And now we got all MMA. So I actually took the time tonight before the show to start making my picks for my lineups and analyzing the fights. So I've actually got some not off the cuff analysis, but some Rain Man of MMA analysis, I guess you could say. Stealing Tony's line. That's Tony's nickname. But we got Johnny Walker in the main event. Not the alcohol, but the fighter. He is 18-6, fighting Jamal Hill. And I crunched the numbers on this. Hill does not have a lot of UFC experience. And obviously, Johnny's got twice as many wins. But he's had some tough losses in his last few fights. Lost 3 of his last 4. And Hill obviously has only lost 1. But I like Walker in this one. He just seems like he's ready for it. He's got the reach. He's got the height advantage. And I think he's going to win this one. Whether it's by KO or not, I'm not sure. But, yeah, I think he's going to win. I think it's kind of a mismatch, judged on experience alone. But who knows? Kyle Dawkins versus Jamie Pickett in the co-main event. Kyle is 10-2. Jamie is 13-6. I like Jamie by decision in this one. He's got eight knockouts and 1 submission, and only 1 knockout loss of those 6. Whereas Kyle, he's had all decision wins in the UFC and no KO losses. But he is 10-2. He's had no knockouts in the UFC. And no knockouts, period. He's got 8 submissions. So 8 out of 10 have been submissions. But all of those have been in feeder leagues. So I mean, I like the Dawkins family. They're great fighting brothers, but I think Pickett's got the advantage here for knockout. But I'm gonna go with a decision for that one, just because Kyle's a tough guy. What do you think of those 2 picks, Tom? Am I psychic worthy or what? We lose Tom? Oh, that's who was calling. I was wondering, my phone was ringing in the other room, and I'm like, 330? What zip code is that? What area code is that?
That's Ohio.
Psychic hung up. By the way, everybody, if you're hearing the dripping in the background, that's the leaky roof I'm dealing with here. The snow is melting fast. Tom, where is he? Alright, anyway, we'll go to the next one while we're waiting to reconnect.
3 3 0 8 1 2 9 3 8 6 is not available.
Uh-oh. I love it how it says, Rich Bergeron kicked out Tom Padgett from the Try again. I should have known, because, like, you know, who else would call me at almost 10 o'clock at night? Anyway. The, underneath the co-main event, we've got Parker Porter, 11-6, fighting Alan Baudot, who is 8-2. And that one, I'm going to go with Parker. Parker Porter.
3 3 0 8 1 2 9 3.
Alright, well, Tom went to bed, I guess. Parker Porter, he's a big dude, but I think he's actually from Massachusetts. I don't know, I'll have to double check that one, but he's a tough guy. He's got a 72% stoppage rate, 5 knockouts and 3 submissions. And Baudot has only 1 no contest in the UFC and a KO loss. So he's 8-2, but the 7 of those knockouts that he's got out of 8 wins were all in feeder leagues. So I think the experience factor goes to Parker, even though he doesn't have a UFC knockout yet himself. I think this is going to be his first. So I'm going to go with him for a knockout. And then Jim Miller, last time he fought, I had no thoughts of him getting a knockout early, and he ended up surprising the crap out of me and a lot of people, and ended up getting a knockout. I figured he would win by decision, so I didn't put him in my lineup. But he has 22 of 33 wins by stoppage, either a knockout or submission. He's fighting a guy who's 12-3 with 8 knockouts, 1 UFC fight, and it was a decision win. So I'm going to go with Jim Miller by submission. He's got way more experience, and UFC experience on top of that. Way more UFC experience, and tons more fights. And he has had a few losses, but I love the new nickname. I'd never heard him call himself this before, but I guess his new nickname is A-10, which is the attack plane from the Army Corps, not Army Corps of Engineers, but what do they call it? Warrant officers fly them in the Army. But it's a plane called the Warthog, and it's got like a Gatling gun or something. It's like a tank. They call it the tank killer. So it's a very impressive plane. One of my favorite planes in the military, other than the AC-130. That's another one of my favorites. That's got a lot of guns. But anyway, Jim Miller, I like him by submission. And then the toss-up on the card. Both of these guys have crazy knockouts. Joaquin Buckley got on the scene with one of the most famous knockouts in the last few years, where the guy grabbed his one foot and then he took the other foot and kicked him in the head and knocked him out. So he's 13-4 with 10 knockouts and 3 knockout losses. But he's won a little bit more recently. Al Hassan lost 3 of his last 4, I should say. But he's got all 11 wins by knockout. He's 11-4, and it's a middleweight fight, so chances are one of these guys is get knocked out. So I'm gonna have to do 2 cards and put one of them on each. But it's definitely gonna be some fireworks in that one. And then another experienced guy against a young up-and-comer. We've got Gabriel Benitez, 22-9, against David Onama, who is 8-1. Again, all 8 wins by stoppage. Lost his only UFC fight, though. That's where the one comes from. So he's another guy from feeder leagues, and Benitez is kind of a journeyman type of fighter. He's 22-9 with 18 stoppages. He also lost 3 of his last 4, but I'm going to go with him by decision. So, unless Onama is really going to pull it out, I don't know. He just doesn't have any big names on his resume. Gabriel has fought a lot of big names. I like the experience factor there. And then we got the female fight. I'm going to go with Jessica Rose Clark on that one. She's 11-6, fighting Stephanie Egger, who's 6-2. Again, it's not only the experience factor, but the names. Everybody that Jessica lost to are huge names in female MMA. And Egger, she lost to just kind of, I don't want to say no-namers, but like people you wouldn't recognize their names. And doesn't have any big wins over big names either. But she does have 5 stoppages to go with the 6 wins, so she's got that puncher's chance for sure. Anyway, both girls have no knockout losses, so I don't know about putting them in the lineup, but I definitely like Jessica to win, probably by decision. And before that, 5th fight of the night, Chaz Skelly, 18-3, fighting Mark Striegel, also 18-3. And I have yet to analyze these ones, so I'm not going to pick winners. I'm just going to go through the names. Caught me halfway through before we started the show. 4th fight of the night, Diana Belbida, 14-6, fighting Gloria DePaula, who is 5-4. Chad Anheliger, 11-5 in the 3rd fight of the night, fighting Jesse Strader, who's 5-2. Jonathan Pierce in the 2nd fight of the night at featherweight, 11-4, fighting Christian Rodriguez, who is 7-0. And we got Mario Bautista, 8-2, fighting Jay Perrin in the 1st fight of the night. And we also have Bellator going on. We got a Gracie fight too, Neiman Gracie. He is 11-2, fighting Logan Storley, who is 12-1. Sounds like a fantastic fight on paper. We'll see if it translates to the cage. This one's coming from Mohegan Sun again in Connecticut. And co-main event, Andrei Korshkov, 24-4, fighting Chance Recounter, who is 16-4. And how about this for a record? 31-12-1, Georgi Karakanyan at lightweight. He is fighting Adam Piccolotti, who is 12-4. And we got Davion Franklin, 4-0, fighting Saeed Salma, who is 8-2 at heavyweight. Lightweights Mandel Nallo, 8-1, fighting Nick Brown, who's 12-1. We got Brennan Ward, 14-6, fighting Brandon Bell, who's 10-10 at 175 pounds catchweight. 7th fight of the night, Jalen Bates, 4-0, fighting Chris Dissanel, who's 6-4. Yeah, we're not going to go through every one of these preliminaries. Probably won't be on TV. But we do have Professional Fighters League starting their season with a very small card from Universal Studios down there in Orlando, Florida. And it's headlined by a light heavyweight fight between 7-0 Josh Silveira and Mohamed Juma, who is 8-2. This one's actually tomorrow night. And then Alexander Popek in the co-main event. He's 12-3 at light heavyweight. Oh, so this is all light heavyweight starting with. Taylor Johnson is his opponent, 7-3. 3 losses for each of them. And then we've got João Paulo Fagundes, who is 7-0, fighting Bruce Sauto, who's 14-3. And Simeon Powell, 4-0, fighting Carl Williams, who's 3-1. Also all light heavyweights. So I guess that's the way they're doing it. They're doing it one weight at a time. But that's about it for what we got. We don't have much news this week. I didn't really highlight any news articles. Let me check one more thing before we go, though. I think I did have one or two things worth mentioning.
I think it's for next week's fight card. That's big news.
You got tickets?
Yeah.
Which fight card is this?
Next Thursday night, actually. So we might have to do next Wednesday, if possible. Down at the Philadelphia Live Casino, that brand new place that went a few months ago.
Oh yeah, I read
Sonny
about
Conto is fighting another main event. So I'll send you the thing if you want to post it on the page with the basically like the fight post, not the fight poster, but like the fight info. And like I said, I went there a couple months ago, and didn't even know that two of the Eagles that had just signed contract extensions were there. But like I said, it's each they do like a horseshoe seating, so they have like 3 sections where they have seating, and they have 1 section that has like kind of like a DJ and all that, but it's like no more than 10 rows per side. And I mean, it was great when we went. Great atmosphere. Wasn't a bad seat there. Now, my dad joked when I showed him the 2 seats we're sitting in. He goes, "Which one's mine?" I said, "Whichever one you want." He goes, "No, just point one." I said, "You'll have seats." He goes, "Yeah." And my luck, Joel Embiid will be sitting in front of me, all 7'2" of them.
Oh, here's a good story. Oh, I forgot about this one. Deontay Wilder back in the news. Have you heard about this one? He is he's taking a break from boxing, obviously. He's trying to decide whether he's going to fight again. So guess how he's going to decide? He's going to go on a psychedelic ayahuasca trip, I guess. He's going to take some psychedelic drugs to decide whether or not to hang up his gloves. He must have been talking to Joe Rogan or Mike Tyson. He likes the mushrooms. But yeah, I actually saw somebody on my Facebook feed who has taken the ayahuasca a bunch of times, and he was like going off on the speech about, we don't really know our own identity, and we need to like separate ourselves from our bodies and go to the mind to figure it out. Like he was still on a trip, I think. But he did this big speech in a video, and he was talking about this ayahuasca. And I've seen actually a documentary on this. I think it was on that Vice channel. They do a lot of stuff on psychedelics and everything, and I've seen Joe Rogan in person at a comedy event, and he talks a lot about that and DMT, and he's obviously done some experimentation, but ayahuasca is a big one, and some people actually do say it's very therapeutic. Some people have taken it for like PTSD and different mental conditions, and supposedly like really kind of totally takes you to a different place. So maybe it'll work for him. I don't know. But anyway, he says, I'm thinking about doing ayahuasca. That's going to be my decision-making process. Boxing's put a bad taste because of what it's done to me. It's dangerous, politics, cheating. I still have love for the sport, though. So, Eddie Hearn has been talking up Derek Chisora as a potential opponent if Wilder chooses to step back into the ring, but he actually took a U-turn on that suggestion earlier this month after witnessing...
That would be a good crossroads matchup right there.
Yeah. So, Joseph Parker now has been mooted as a possible foe as he eyes his own American dream to follow in the footsteps of Pal Fury, whatever that means. Sometimes the people who write these things are kind of out to lunch. Anyway, he has yet to confirm what he's going to do, so maybe the ayahuasca will help him figure that out. Also, I read today, Tyson Fury and Francis Ngannou are finalizing the details on their fight, which makes it pretty unlikely that there's going to be any kind of reconciliation between Ngannou and the UFC. It's obviously going to have to be next year because he's going to have to sit out a year. But they're talking about potentially March of next year having this fight with MMA gloves, but boxing rules. That's going to be pretty incredible. I don't think it's ever been done before. And if it has been done, it's like on some freak show Little League setup. But we'll see. And last big story we have, a couple old guys getting back at it. I don't know whether it's going to be an exhibition or what, but Ricky Hatton wants to do a comeback fight against Marco Antonio Barrera. A couple old guys like us.
Yeah, right.
Ricky last fought in
I did hear that.
November 2012. He got knocked out in the 9th round by Vyacheslav Senchenko. They're saying it's featherweight prospect. Oh, okay. I was gonna say. I thought this article was trying to say it was this exhibition fight was going to happen on February 19th, but it's actually one of Ricky Hatton's prospects.
That's kind of quick.
Yeah, it's actually going to be on the undercard of Amir Khan and Kell Brook. One of Ricky Hatton's prospects will be fighting at Ibi Nadim. I don't know why that mentions that. But anyway, he's 43 years old, and I don't know how, it doesn't say how old Marco is 48. So we'll see. See if that happens. We lose you, Tony? Uh-oh. Alright, well, we're just going to call it a show then. Thanks for stopping by, people, and stay tuned here. We're going to start the interview I did earlier this week with Marqus Bates, and he talks about his upcoming fight and just boxing in general, and we'll just wrap it up with that. Until next week, when we will have Sean Wheelock on the broadcast. He is an announcer and an author we had on over 7 years ago now. But Psychic Tom had a great show that night. I think he asked about 95% of the questions, so that should be a fun show for all of us. Anyway, thanks for stopping by, and stay tuned and catch the interview. We also have it on Blog Talk Radio on our profile there, so check it out. Hey folks, this is Rabble Rousing Rich Bergeron, and we're on the line with Marqus Bates, super lightweight. Got a match coming up next Saturday in Melrose, Mass, with Christian Danilo Guido. And said you're from Taunton, Massachusetts. Is that true?
Yes, I'm Taunton, Massachusetts, born and raised.
Awesome. I got a buddy down there. I went to high school with. He just bought a house down there a few years ago. Nice neighborhoods.
Okay.
Good little place.
Yeah,
Hey.
Taunton not bad. I mean, it has like any place, you know, it has the highs and lows.
Right.
Good areas and bad areas.
So what got you into boxing in the first place?
It was something that I always wanted to do since I was younger. I just my mom, she never put me in it because she thought I would take it to school and use it against somebody.
Mm-hmm.
So it was something that I ended up coming into in my early 20s. My son, his uncle, God rest his soul, my kid's mother, her brother, he seen me doing some things I shouldn't have been doing, and you know, he introduced me to boxing.
Awesome. Yeah, my mother was actually the reason I got into it, but unfortunately it was after she died. And back in the 80s, everybody used to say to any insult, "Oh, your mother." You know, so then at the drop of a dime, I would fight people over it. So they had to kind of rein me in.
Oh yeah.
So anyway,
Yeah, I had my fair share of those fights with your mother. Oh yeah.
yeah, right.
I had my fair share of those.
Yeah. It happens, but you know, you get it organized, and it turns out it's a good thing. You know, you just got to channel it, right?
Yeah.
But anyway, you got. Do you know anything about your opponent coming up this weekend, next weekend? Saturday?
No, I don't know. I don't know too much. I just know that he has a way more experience than I do. He has about 29 professional fights.
Right.
Not too sure of the record.
8-21.
I'm pretty sure he has around 29.
Lost
Okay,
his
yeah.
last 6,
So,
according
there
to
you go.
Track. So you're going to make it 7.
So he has.
Right?
Yes.
More than that. It
Sure
looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So you're going to be the 10th. There you go. Lucky number 10.
Yep. So well, actually, yeah. This will be my 13th pro fight. And we're gonna go for my 7th knockout.
Awesome. Now, what would you say is your favorite punch, if you had one?
I like the straight right hand.
Cool.
Straight right hand. That's my go-to. Before it was the uppercut. But I gotta wait from it. So I'm slowly getting back into throwing more uppercuts.
I had that very same problem in college
Slowly
when I
coming back
boxed.
to it.
I would get hit by a lot of them, but I would never throw them. I don't even ever remember even trying to throw one in a fight. And it was like, you know, it was such a good punch for young up-and-coming fighters because most of them didn't know how to throw it. So here I am, you know, in college teaching people how to throw it all the time, but because I was a coach in my senior and junior year, but I never threw one in an actual fight.
Yeah, I mean,
But it's useful.
the uppercut is a devastating punch, man.
Mm-hmm.
And you land that, don't no one see it. It's gonna be a bad night for that person.
Do you have fighters that you grew up watching that you know you watch a lot of tape of and try to emulate, or people nowadays that you're kind of trying to steal some stuff from their styles?
I grew up watching. I favored Tyson growing up just because he was just rough and rugged. And I liked it. He came forward, head moving, and he threw uppercuts from hell. I favored Marvin Hagler because I liked his movement. He was gritty, but the way he moved around the ring coming forward, and he was sharp. And I also liked Roberto Duran because his inside game was crazy. He had good feints, and he get you on the inside, and he open you up, and he do his damage. Nowadays, I look at Terrence Crawford. Man, he's slick, he's gritty, he's smart, he's sharp, and that's who I would. We have the same. I look at him. I look at myself because we have like the same build, and I watch him a lot. I'm not a southpaw, working on going that way. So just it gives me another tool on the belt. But watching him is like watching myself in the future.
Yeah. Well, you know, switching stances is not that big in boxing, but it could be if more people did it. I mean, I see it in mixed martial arts a lot, and it works. You know, especially when you get involved kicks, and maybe your front leg gets kicked by the other guy, and you can't stand on it, so you got to switch. But
Yeah.
In boxing, they don't use it a lot,
and,
but
you know,
when it does get used, it works.
yeah, it's dangerous, especially when you're on the inside and you're orthodox and you step to someone on the inside and you do that little slight switch and they don't see that coming. Now your power hand is your lead hand and they're in trouble. And what a lot of people don't know is that, Mike Tyson, he was naturally I believe he was right-handed. Well, no, left-handed, but he fought orthodox.
Yeah. Well, back in the older days, they wouldn't even let you write left-handed. They wanted you to write right-handed, so they would force you to learn. Not so much anymore, but yeah, that's how popular it is.
So a lot of people didn't know that. So when he would step down and he would throw that right hook to the body, followed by the uppercut, that was his natural power hand. He could have fought both ways, southpaw or orthodox.
Yeah, well, it makes sense because when I used to teach it, I would specifically teach people the left hook from the Tyson style because I grew up watching him. And when he used to throw the left hook from the peekaboo style, I mean, people always talk about his uppercut, but they kind of forget that he had a devastating left hook. And I mean, just the way
that left hook.
He used to jump rope so much, and it's kind of the secret of why he started losing, because he stopped jump roping, and his calves were so huge that he could put so much torque into that spin, that little, twist of the foot, and just blow people away with that. So, yeah, it makes sense that he started off left-handed. Now, what do you know about the venue in Melrose here? Have you ever been there? Is it your first time there?
This will be my first time fighting on the Melrose venue. So I'm definitely excited about it.
Cool. And my buddy there, Michael Reyes, what's it like to work for him?
Mike is an awesome dude, man. He's a stand-up solid guy. I first met Mike actually at my gym. He brought some guys down to spar with Demetrius Boo Boo Andre, and I happened to be in the gym that night. And that was the first time I met him. We didn't talk too much, but we ended up talking a little bit more the second time he came down, because I ended up sparring with one of his guys. I forget his name, but he's actually really good. I think he might be like 21 and like that. Really good Colombian kid. I believe. Don't quote me on that. I think he's Colombian. I'm not 100% sure. But the kid was really good, and I sparred him. And after that, Mike started talking with my trainer and seeing what was going on with I was with promotion, and me and Mike started talking, and we just clicked. We took a liking to each other, and we just clicked, just automatically, and just don't gotta try. We just clicked, and he tried to get me on his card back in October, but we had some issues because I was signed with another promotion company, CES.
Oh, yeah.
And we was just waiting for my contract to be up with CES. So now my contract is up with CES, and now I'm dealing with Mike.
Awesome. Yeah, I went to Norwich with him, Norwich University up in Vermont, and I actually started the boxing club there. And he came to practice one day. I think one of his cousins was actually someone I went through the freshman year of the military school there with. So I think she ended up recommending he show up, and then he ended up becoming one of my coaches. He didn't actually do any boxing while he was at Norwich. I was telling your other buddy, our common friend, Matt Yanofsky there, that he did more street fighting in college, I think, up in the bars in Burlington. But yeah, I used to hear a lot about that. He had a buddy who was another friend of mine, big, heavy, fat guy, and for some reason they used to just go pick fights for fun and beat people up in the bar.
Oh, man.
So I ended up hearing about that, and then he ended up getting a scratched cornea, so he couldn't come to practice a few times. But I'm glad he got away from that and got into the legal side of fighting. He's a great guy. Very fast hands too. I don't know if you ever seen him, hit the mitts or mess around.
No.
It's unbelievably fast.
I haven't, but I heard stories that Mike doing his thing in the ring.
Yeah, he was really good. I sparred him a couple times with the headgear and all that, but he was obviously a little bit lighter than me. I'm like 220 right now, but back then I was around 185, 195, and he was like $150. So I definitely didn't go full force with him. But yeah, he's always really slick, hard to hit, and definitely knew what he was doing. Now, what's your ultimate goal with boxing? Where do you want to take it?
I want to go as far as I can. If I could get to a world title shot, that'd be awesome. Or any big title shot, IBF, IBO, or whatever. I just want to take it as far as I can, and I just want to be able to show, young black and young white kids that, no matter your background or where you're from or what you've been through, if you bite down and you put your dream and your passion in your forefront and you go for it, there's no limit to where you can go. There shouldn't be any obstacle in the way with you chasing your passion and chasing your dream, no matter your age or no matter if you got a criminal background, you've been in trouble or whatever, and it's never too late. It's never too late.
I mean, I got to tell my token story now from college boxing, because I did get to do the intercollegiate circuit for one semester down at Virginia Military Institute. We did an exchange program at Norwich, and they had a full team. And they took me on the first scrimmage after I had a little time off and was a little heavy. And I ended up going up against this kid from the Naval Academy at their gym. And it was the first time I ever quit in a fight. I couldn't even get through the second round. I just quit. So ended up, I started doing the boxing training, and we used to run 7 miles through the mountains there in regular Virginia, around Lexington. And we would actually do, like, right before the matches, we would do like a 5 a.m. run 3 times a week, just a couple miles there. But all that road work and the hard work, not only did I lose weight, but I got my stamina back up, and I ended up facing the very same kid at the regional tournament at our house, at our boxing gym. Oh. And I beat the brakes off him. I gave him a bloody nose and black eye, and he must have been shocked as hell. So I ended up going to nationals, and I came in 3rd place in nationals, and I wasn't even upset about the 3rd place, because the guy who came in 2nd fought on ESPN, and he faced this guy from Air Force Academy who had unbelievable reach. I don't even know how he made 185. But this guy got knocked out in the 3rd round with like 10 seconds left or something on national TV. So, I mean, I probably would have got beat worse, because he's the guy that beat me. But a very slick fighter, and his name happens to be Michael Jordan, so I can always, name drop when I say who I boxed. But it wasn't a basketball player. Course. He's actually a big-time general now with the military, so he's gone pretty far.
Oh man!
But anyway, this is about you, so we'll stop telling stories about me. What would you say is the most important thing that you do to get ready for a fight?
Me, I focus on cardio is big. Because the last thing you want to do is lose a fight because you ran out of gas.
Exactly. I can attest to that.
So I focus. I make sure that I'm getting my road work. Jump roping, biking, you name it for cardio. I make sure I do it. What I do, I do this. I go to the gym in the morning. Right now I'm laid off, so I have the extra time to be able to do this. In the morning I go to the gym. I run 3 miles, 4 miles, whatever I get in 30 minutes. Be 3.5, 4 miles, sometimes in 30 minutes. Then from there, I go on the rower. I row for 10 minutes. Then I go on a elliptical for 10 minutes. I hit the bike for about 15 minutes, and then they have this other machine. It's just strictly for your arms. I do that for 10 minutes. So I try to get at least 50 to 60 minutes of cardio.
Yeah.
Two to 3 times a week. If I don't get the full 50, 60 minutes, then I make sure I get my 30 miles, or I'm jump roping for 30 minutes.
Right. Yeah, jump roping is so huge. I mean,
yeah, man.
It doesn't seem like
With that, and then just
some people,
a lot
but it
too,
is.
I focus on because I started 8 boxing, so and I started late, and then I had like 6 to 7 years away from it. So technique, I've been focusing on a lot, zoning in on that as well.
Cool. And what do you love most about the sport?
The action. You know, I love the action, the competition. You know, going in the challenge of it. You know, you go in there. It's you versus him, and let the best man win.
Right.
You know, I think to me that's that challenge right there is. I look forward to that challenge. And if I don't get past that challenge, no hard feelings, but I'll be back.
Right. All right. Now, is there anyone you want to thank or give a shout out to before we let you go?
Yeah, I would like to give a shout out to my sponsors. Fifth Ventures. Leander Garrett, he was one of my biggest sponsors for this upcoming fight. Also, he's from my city. Also, Fogg Auto Sales in Taunton, Massachusetts as well. I want to thank Timothy Fogg for being a sponsor for this fight. FNU Entertainment, they deal with music, and I went to high school with this kid who started pretty much he produces records and stuff like that. His name is Rick. We went to Buckner High School. We played basketball on a freshman team. My freshman year, I want to thank him for being a sponsor for this fight. I also want to thank the Sock King, Fernando, for being a sponsor for this fight. He was another major sponsor, and he's hooking me up with some real dope Marqus Bates. And I also want to thank Bromwell Fitness Training Center, Doug Bromwell, and I also want to thank Eileen Wardell from the Yoga Heart Centered or Heart Centered Yoga from the Bromwell Fitness Training Center.
Awesome. And how do people find you online?
You can find me on Facebook, Marqus Bates, Marqus Bates. You can also find me on Instagram, same thing, Marqus Bates, Marqus Bates.
It's basically only one letter short of the name the rules are named after, right? The Marcus of Queensberry. Right? That must be fate, right?
Must be, huh?
Well, I wish I could see in action Saturday, but I'm not going to be there for this one. I hope you come up to New Hampshire at some point. That's where I'm based. And I'm going to try to get to some more events.
Yeah,
I definitely got to hook up with Mike at some point.
Supposed to be fighting again March 19th at Melrose Memorial Hall again. And hopefully it's New Hampshire. I fought in New Hampshire last April against Brian De Bartolomeo.
Yep.
For New Hampshire State welterweight title. Actually, I beat him. I knocked him out in the 6th round.
There you go. So you got a title to defend. you got to make New Hampshire proud from Taunton.
Yeah.
Well, that just goes to show you. I mean, we need more boxing up here because if a Massachusetts guy is winning the New Hampshire state title, we get problems. I guess I got to start coaching again.
I know, right?
Anyway, it's great talking to you.
Get back to it.
Yeah, I got it.
Great talk. Great talking to you, Rich, man. Thank you. And again, our apologies for missing the 2 o'clock appointment.
No worries. No big deal. You got better things to do, getting ready for a fight, so I understand. But anyway, we'll keep in touch. I'll send you the interview when it's up, and we're actually going to be putting it in 2 places. We'll have it on Spreaker at the end of our regular broadcast of our just combat sports show, and then we're going to separate it into just the regular interview on Blog Talk Radio. So we'll make you famous.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for reaching out, Rich.
You're welcome. Have a good one. I'd say good luck, but I don't think you need it.
Have a good one.